Afternoon. It's me, Corey the Coyote Whitford. It's January 18th, 2021. It's Monday morning. Shkuan amegi jigak. Bejigogi jigan. Asian Katek. Want to welcome you to Circle Talks. It's the place where we have discussions with leaders, keepers, and guests regarding our seven circles. Want to welcome you to the program this afternoon. We're waiting on Mr. Bo Kobrakovich. He's going to jump in here and have an interview with us and talk give us an update on what's happening at the government building. Hamsa akoy ay ngay I'll turn my attention to the Mox and to the MS Teams chat. And ready. We are on now. All right. Today's session at noon will be about administration, governance, update on councils, and RRSD circles. Okay, good job. Control C. I'm gonna save that here. We're gonna populate it so that you can see what our discussions are going to be about. Okay. Bo Kobrakovich says today's session at noon will be about administration, governance update, councils, and the RIRSD circles. Let's bring Mr. Boko Brakovich into Circle Talks. Standing by.
Hey, Coyote, Tanse and Nichagan, how are you?
Awesome. Tanzania, Javan. Give me no ayana. You doing all right? You doing fine?
Living the dream, continuing to live the dream here in the Treaty 2 territory. It's always fun to be connecting to you as well as talking a bit about what we're up to with the government.
Okay, Bo, I'll take this off here. First question is, I want to start off by asking you, how's your week starting?
It's awesome. This is my fourth online this morning so far, so this is great for us. We've gone from back in March having one or two sessions a week now to having anywhere from 6 to 8 per day. So it's lots of work and a lot of exciting happenings within the nation, the government, and the territory. So this is exciting for us, Corey.
Oh, very exciting indeed. Yeah, Bo, we're going to talk a little bit about the administration. What kind of update can you give us about the administration today?
Well, I tell you, it's exciting, right? So today, the government of the First Nations and Treaty 2 territory has advanced in the sovereign administration. So, of course, our process requires performance excellence, and we talk about that quite a bit on a regular basis on how do we accomplish inherent sovereign nation-based goals, right? So our administration receives the full support from our seven councils as well as connected to our seven circles. So on the day-to-day operation function under our sovereign administration, we work on the financial treasury process. So it's exciting work for us, Corey, and we've separated the politics and administration arm of the government. So we have a governmental arm and then we have the administration arm. And we're very excited about that because the administration works on the whole process of communications, finance, governance, and HR. So we have an administration arm of the government that will actually do the functions of the administration for the councils, do the function of administration for the circles. We have a governmental arm that does the functions for the councils and the governmental arm that does the functions for the circles. So it's very exciting work, and it's very excellent to hear that we're finally defining exactly some of the areas. So we talk about communications, Corey, we have a communication keeper who is Marlene Davis. She's excellent. We are very fortunate that she survived her accident before Christmas and she's doing well. So she looks after the blog and stories, media, web, MTN Live with you, of course, and Moccasin Trail News with you, and then the public relations. So that's exciting. And then our finance keepers, right now we have Diana Murphy, who's our finance and policy interim for policy right now, after we determine this week and next week what the positions are going to be now that the executive has approved and fine-tuned this process. So the finance, though, is accounting and budgeting, economic analysis, fiscal planning, secretarial management. So the finance keeper is going to not only do the accounting and budgeting, which is only 25% of the task, is the economic analysis for all the 7 circles, as well as the key factors in our Treasury and Trust, working with our Treasury Trust, reporting to our Treasury Trust keeper as well on the work that's being done at the governmental level. So, and then fiscal planning, the finance keeper will also be part of the working on the agreement with Canada on fiscal relations, along with the Treasury Trust as well. So it's very exciting. Governance, Ray Musso has slid into the governance keeper position quite nicely. He did a good job as an operation keeper, but now he's into the governance, and he's basically working with us on circle engagement. He works with the circles. The circles report directly to the councils, but he works with the circles. And then law development, first law that he's working with locally, as well as we have a nation law that we're working on as well, taking it from the Anishinaabe-Guidan law to the First Nations and Treaty 2 Territory Alliance law. So we have that being worked on. And the local nation helpers, he works directly with regional offices, Scott Linkslake, as well as Darlene Woodhouse on regional offices. They work with our local nation helpers that have that full communication. And it's exciting times. We have an HR position that's going to be open. It's the Anishinaabe HR governance, working on laws and policies on HR through the Anishinaabe making sure that we're governing ourselves properly through the Anishinaabe way of the nation, the government, and the territory. And then, of course, benefits and compensation, file position management, and health and safety. So it is exciting times, Corey, with our administration. So now we're able, Corey, to take this administration and now plunk it into all our 7 circles and all our 7 councils. And it's exciting because it's universal, and we're able to grab it and put it into this area without modifying too much into it. So it's very exciting times, Corey.
I'm very excited too. Thank you for the gift of having our own dedicated studio for Mogson Trail News Live. It's very, very rewarding for us so far, and it helps us, especially having a top speed connection of 160 BPMS. We have the ability to run videos and run multiple platforms through one laptop. So I'm very grateful for that, and for the new studio that we have here in Dauphin, Manitoba. As well, Bo, I wanted to thank you on the update for administration and the governance update on the councils. But I'd like to know a little bit more of the RIRSD circles, the acronym.
Okay, well, first off, it's our meeting with Canada that if you go onto our website, we have, which is considered reconciliation. So this reconciliation process with Canada is basically, it's a table that was set up in 2017 that has been working for us. It works hard for us on both fronts. It gives us the ability to work with the colonial government of Canada, as well as renewing our new relationship with Canada. So it's a right and Indigenous recognition process table that we've been able to create with the protocol that was signed the December of 2016 or 18, pardon me. And it's something that we've worked on quite a bit with Canada. We're not the negotiators. The negotiators are still our executive council, as well as our governing council. So everything goes to our governing council, and then we take it to the grand council. So we don't negotiate. We set up platforms for negotiations. Karen Pijik's done a wonderful job setting up a new platform for us for political circles right now. So that's exciting news for us. So our RSD tables, which now are called circles, have gone from just the technical senior official now to political. So, when it's time to finalize the negotiations in the area of any of these areas, then our governing and executive council come in. So I'd like to talk a bit about the sections of our term sheet. Our term sheet is very important to us. Our term sheet is not a written law, that it's not an agreement that binds both parties. So the term sheet is open to change, and our number one priority listing of our term sheet, Corey, is the acknowledgement and recognition of the government of First Nations and Treaty 2 territory and of Canada. Canada has never seen an agreement like this before. Canada, all of a sudden now in Section 3 of the agreement says, hey Canada, you want to recognize us as international territory and nation? We'll recognize you being an international government that has your own laws for your own people. And we, as a government and nation, have our own laws for our own people. So you paddle your canoe on one side, we paddle our canoe on the other side, down the river to Rorumpa. We'll work together on, you have your laws, we have our laws. Don't interfere with our business, we won't interfere with your business. But hey, 150 years, Canada has interfered and told us what to do. Time to change that, Corey. It's time that Canada wants to talk about reconciliation. They talk about the CFN laws, C-92. It's all about making sure that there's proper recognition. Section 35, of course, is a full bag of rights that give the Anishinaabe and Indigenous people of Canada, the Turtle Islands, the opportunity to govern ourselves, have self-determination ourselves, have going back to the day before treaty of the roots of a good sovereign Anishinaabe, Cree, Dakota government that this territory once had without the colonial version of the settlers today. So,
wow.
So I want to talk,
great update.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the implementation of the treaty and the unfinished treaty business, Corey. We're we got a letter back from the Minister of Indigenous Relations for Canada, and she basically said, keep up the work with what we're doing. It didn't really give us too much enlightenment to our process, so we're going to send another letter saying, obviously, you're not understanding the question that we asked the Prime Minister. July 2019 letter and 20 letter is basically saying, hey, Prime Minister, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to go into litigation, or do you want to set up a tribunal? And they basically in the letter said, keep up the good work and go through our own process, and our own people will decide whether you have a claim or not. Well, that's not reconciliation, and that's not the treaty. The treaty basically said that immigration settlement, you come into our territory, we'll share the land with you, you won't touch our resources, you won't touch our water, and you won't touch our people and our laws. And what do? You pass an Indian Act piece of paper that has destroyed the vision and the prosperity of the Anishinaabe people of the territory, and that can't happen. We got to go back directly to what the day before the treaty and the day of the treaty basically stated, and that is time to implement this treaty. So we are seeking an implementation agreement with Canada. We're seeking a physical agreement responsible for Treasury Trust directly going and getting rid of ISP, getting rid of the Indian agent in Winnipeg, and moving all the programs and services into the local nations. The local nations are responsible for their own programs and services, and it has to go to the local nations. The government of First Nations and Treaty 2 territory and the nation and the territory's design is to have the money administered by the local nations and going to the local nations. So there was a bit of a misunderstanding that we're going after program services and infrastructure. That's not the case. We have our laws to develop. We'll keep the program and services such as IRTC, West Region, SCO, AMC that does programs and services. They can continue if the local nations want them to. It's up to them. It's not up to us. They decide. They will have their own CGA which is a course that's happening in the next couple of months to design it in a way that we'll be replacing the CGA accreditation with our own Anishinaabe accreditation that will give them the ability to manage the $940 million that we're accessing from ISK without having ISK in place, going directly to Treasury, going directly to the coffers that Canada is responsible for. So with that in mind, that's a lot of work that we're doing in that area. And then, of course, our Child and Family, as everyone knows, has a deadline of March 24th for Canada to come up with a coordination agreement, and forcing Manitoba and Saskatchewan to the table to make sure that we're able to move on that. And we've got a great team in place right now that's working on the law. So they'll continue with the law of the nation. They'll work with local nations, connecting to the overarching law. And as per our mandate, we're given the mandate through our resolutions. We haven't been told otherwise from our Grand Council and our Governing Council. So they tell us to continue on with resolution success. Our lifelong learning right now, we're working on something tomorrow with Canada to get us into a lifelong learning implementation agreement, so we can work on that, and we will be creating the sub circle for that. And the Care and Protection Natural World, which is very exciting for us, we're meeting with O'Regan Ministry in the next couple of weeks. Actually, the Governing Council will be meeting with him, but we're going to be setting up from there on, setting up a sub-table that Ron Izzy-Abbott will be working with us on, and Sean, as well as to make sure that we have that sub-table going for that implementation agreement. And of course, we got the 4 areas that we talked about last week when we had our strategic planning session with us, Care and Protection Natural World, and of course, the meeting that we are going to be having with O'Regan's staff and office is basically to go through the letter that was sent. Shared resources. We're prepared to share the resources with Canada. We're not getting the $600 million that is being stolen out of our territory right now from a number of resource users are stealing all the resources from our territory. So we want that $600 million that is taken out yearly to come directly to the Anishinaabe people of the territory and share the prosperity. And that's what the treaty was all about, Corey, was about prosperity and sharing of the land. And you're going to make $1, I'm going to make $1. It's not they're going to make $2 and not give anything to us. That is wrong. That's theft. That's not the way that the Anishinaabe envisioned it the day before and the day of the treaty. So the health and well-being, of course, Karen Kijik is looking after that area. We're going to be working with the Ministry of Health Canada to have an implementation agreement where we can see hospitals in our territory, proper services in our territory, less racism in our territory, knock down the barriers that we're facing as the Anishinaabe people of the territory. So the internal external is the RISD table. So we already have an agreement through our recognition agreement of 2018 December. So we have that. The peacemaking is very exciting, Corey. This is exciting news for us. I've been on it myself, Karen and Roy Dawson. We've been on it for a number of months, but we're very grateful to have Chantel Barker now as our keeper of peacemaking, and she made a really good presentation to us about the 7 areas that she would like to see and really fit of what we're doing, harmonizing balance, peace, harmony, and order right through the whole process. And it's all about law. It's all about the peacemaking process. It's all about wellness promotion instead of prevention services. And of course, the appeal circles, the criminal circles, the knowledge keepers are going to get together and talk about the land, teachings and oral traditions, and of course our peace officers. And our lodge has done quite a bit of work with this, and of course they're all working together to assure that we can get things done in this area of peacemaking. And that is going to be sooner than later. That agreement could be as early as April 1st to May 1st. So we're working quite a bit. Right now we have 7 agreements on the table. We're drafting and designing laws with our councils. They're giving us all the data we need, and we're just helping them formulate it. It's not that we're writing the law. It's the people's laws through the councils. The councils, how we engage, Corey, is that we engage through our councils, and then our councils take everything back. The local nation helpers engage on a daily basis. Their timesheet reports are stating that they're engaging their local nations on a regular basis, and they're doing their 40-hour weeks, showing that they're doing their laws. So they're obviously engaging through that process, and thumbs up to them, as well as our regional offices that are working hard to be able to get that engagement. So we got a lot of engagement going. We have a lot of communication. There's still miscommunication that's going to happen to the ones that don't want to see change. But to the ones that really want to see change, they're going to notice that they're part of the process, and they can really, really help us. This is that. If you're a member of a Treaty 2 nation right now as a citizen, you are Treaty 2. If you're a nation within the territory, you are a sovereign citizen of the nation, the territory, and the government of First Nations and Treaty 2 territory. And that's the bottom line, Corey, is we're doing it for the next 7 generations. So it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. To pick up on one of your points, one of my takeaways. Can you hear me easily?
Absolutely.
Okay, one of my takeaways is kudos to you, and the very big advantage here is I see you making an external advisory type of an approach, where you look to all of the membership, the elders, the people who make a difference in their nations, and you get their input, and from there you get their buy-in too. I really like that approach because it's indisputable. It comes from the nations, and it's for the nations. And when the nations see all of their input being recognized and affirmed here in these documents and in this work, you tend to have a high degree, 90% and up buy-in from that process. And I really like the fact that you're going about it that way, Bo, and that there's a lot of buy-in, there's a lot of engagement, and it's showing.
Absolutely, and it's exciting, right? We have the ability to use 20 of our keepers and helpers and our 11 nations to get a very strong supportive message across. And we feel that the councils are starting to get back momentum. We had a lot of council meetings and sessions in the last number of years. We've had the Grand Council meet once a year. We've had the Governing Council meet on a regular basis. We have our Knowledge Council that we really respect their knowledge and get a lot of knowledge from them and feedback. I do want to say that we are missing a very great warrior that left us last week. Of course, Norman Travers. He was great to us. I talked to him. I haven't talked to him as much as I wanted to through the pandemic, but up until the pandemic, and even last summer, we talked on a regular basis. Even prior to that, he came to Dauphin a number of times to our governing office. He'd attend our Knowledge Council sessions in Winnipeg, and he was part of the RSD advisory when we first started. He put a lot of foundational work and advice with Harry Bowen, of course, was another knowledge keeper that helped us, and Wallace Hamo and Louis Malcolm during that time. And of course, we had Elder Fontaine out of Ochichak too. So it was very good. So we have our Knowledge Council as very good advisors to us. They can go toe to toe with any legal council in Canada. In fact, there's the Knowledge Council, and then there's the legal people. So the Knowledge Councils, in our minds, come first. We get our knowledge from them. Louis Malcolm has done a wonderful job chairing the council of knowledge keepers, and he continues to work with us on that, and it's very exciting. So, of course, our internal external portfolio holder, of course, is Chief Norman Bone, and he gives us a lot of insight on what we're doing. The executive has done a wonderful job, and of course, our governing council met on Thursday. Some turbulence, but it's expected. The misunderstanding of what FNT2T is. It's the government of the nation of the territory that made the treaty with another settler government. And it's the nation and our local nations that we really want to work with and enhance. And we're working hard with the administration to get the monies from Treasury and Trust and going directly to the local nations, Corey. And each local nation will send a representative, and they'll manage the Treasury and Trust. We don't. They'll let us know as the government on what's available. So it's a very neat system. Anyone from Penangotang or Little Sask or Skowhegan that sits on the Treasury and Trust will decide where the money goes. It's not the government of the First Nations and Treaty 2 territory as an administration. It's the people that are going to decide where the money goes. So it's a very neat system. We're starting to see it. You got to keep in mind, June 12th, 2018 in Lake Manitoba, Anishinaabe Nation, of course, Nimo-Seaving, we managed to go from very minimal sovereign-based nation development to a huge 21.5 million acre. We are protecting the territory from the Winnipeg River to the Berens River to the small Lake of Winnipeg waterhen, all the way up to the Old Duck Bay, to the source of the Shell, down to the Assiniboine, to Moose Mountains, to Brandon, 2 miles east of Brandon up to where Sandy Bay is today, across the lake to the Drunken Point, just out of Gimli, and then back to the Winnipeg River. That's 21.5 million acres, Corey. And you're going to see some serious movement. We have a lot of work behind the scenes that we've done. We plan to put up 37 signs, 8 by 20 signs. We're putting it in our yearly work plan in our budget, and we have 400 highway 18 by 24s that are going to be going along the highway. You're living life in the Treaty 2 territory.
Wow. Really exciting stuff taking place, and I'm so happy that we're come to this point where we're taking back our own independence. Nina Wentigo, where we're establishing our own form of governance. Again, our indigenous governance, stuff that we were given from natural law. We're bringing all that back to life. That what was once displaced is now being. We're clearing that fog, and now we're following that path once more.
Well, and it's taken time to decolonize. We have a wonderful lodge in place that is going to work with that to decolonize the process, and it's exciting times and work for us. So just before we wrap up, Corey, would you be interested to hear just briefly on our councils, who our portfolios are today?
Definitely. I'm all ears.
Well, it's exciting work, of course, that we are doing, and we continue on. And our portfolios that the Grand Chief and the Executive Council decided to work on is very, very good. The Grand Chief, Eugene Eastman, is our chief from Otechakwassippi. He's the standing chief. We see that every year, other than last year, he's selected by the governing council, and the governing council goes to their TP, literally goes to the TP and decides who the next Grand Chief is. A good standing current sitting chief that is in good standings with the nation, the government, and the territory. So John Stagg, chief of Dauphin River, Anishinaabe, he looks after the sport portfolio. He's very sports-minded. He was a defenseman during his hockey days, and he really likes youth activities. So Chief Wayne Desjardins, he is our lifelong learning portfolio holder, and he's going to be chairing the circle that's going to be starting in the next little while. And co-chair, of course, is Barry Bone. And then we have Chief David Ledoux, who is our Nation and Economic Development portfolio holder. He chairs that circle. Chief Norman Bone from Kishipunan, he is the chair of the Child, Family, and Nation circle, as well as he's internal, external. And then we have Chief Adrian Sinclair, who is the chair of the infrastructure and housing. Chief Hector Shorting from Little Sask, he is the rep portfolio of the local nations, but also the knowledge keepers. So he sits with the knowledge keepers and works with the knowledge keepers. Chief Garnet Woodhouse, Penamotang, he is our health and wellness portfolio holder. He chairs the circle. An exciting work that's moving forward on that. And of course, Chief Cameron Catchway, another huge area. He's from Skowhegan, but he looks after the peacemaking portfolio as well as the circle. Chief Barry McKay, Tutuwaza Bing, he is the portfolio holder for the care and protection in the natural world, and he'll be working with Darren Musso, who's the chair of that circle. And then we got Louis Malcolm, of course, is our Knowledge Council chair. He's a representative from Ebb and Flow, and he is selected by the Knowledge Council to be the chair. And then we got Darren Musso, who is selected by the Men's Council. He's a Ebb and Flow representative, and he was selected by the Men's Council to chair. And right now we have an open position for Women's Council chair as well as a Youth Council chair. We have the Youth Council coming up next week, and then of course we have the Women's Council this week for council session. So very exciting, Corey, on what's happening and where we're at on things.
Very exciting. That's a full display of knowledge right there. That's a lot of work taking place in our FNT2 team. Bo, I want to thank you for coming on board today and giving us a very thorough, comprehensive update. I'm really grateful for that on behalf of our audience.
All righty. Well, thanks, Corey, for having me on today.
Okay, take care, Bo. We'll see you again soon. Miigwech, nicho. Oh. Miawen nicho, and Mr. Bo Kobrakovich, lead keeper at the government building, Masawon, Dauphin, Manitoba, in Treaty 2 territory. A lot of stuff that's happening in our community, in our FNT2T, in our Treaty 2 territory. Very exciting times. I'm just honored to be a part of all of this. You know, it takes me back to a memory, a time. Remember the Brandon tournament? The Dakota Ojibwe Tribal Council used to have. Incidentally, they were the first council that were created in 1975, and they had an office there somewhere right downtown in Brandon. The point, I guess, is this: every year, the chiefs would get together of the Dakota Ojibwe Tribal Council, the Dakota. And the Ojibwe, Ejtashot, would get together, would work together. The Musos, the Everetts, the Daniels, Ejtashot, the Tachins, the White Clouds, they all used to get together as a family. And at that time, during sport and recreation, they would put on one of the biggest all Indigenous hockey tournaments in Canada. Where we are right now in the cultural cradle of Canada here, right in the smack dead center here. What I really take away from that moment, that memory, as I was thinking there when Mr. Kobrakovich was talking, was this: we've done it before. We've seen how much development, how much progress, how much accomplishment we can achieve when we put our minds together. That's one of our main examples, and that's one of the things I was thinking of, Rose, when I was listening to Bo talk this afternoon, is that if we work together, which we are about to do, which we are doing right now at this moment, we are destined to create something great for our future generations. Wichigabwe tuition, stand by me, stand by my side. Help me to stand strong ganin mga we awi na kami gisyang. Huge undertaking. I extend that example to everyone, all of our audience out there. You remember the time when the Brandon tournament, ako gijinikada, no, but actually it was a collection of indigenous people who had an idea, a great idea to bring people together to unite under one roof or several roofs in several venues. And they always used to play the Moccasin games there. And that's a big thing we used to have each and every year. And so I want to take your mindset back to that moment and take away from that the power we have when we work together as a unit. Just like a big unit, we work together. Ahamsa. Mieta guminikwi kito naman on gumapajigitchigewe. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Monday program for Circle Talks. It's a place where we have discussions with our leaders, keepers, and guests regarding our 7 circles. And today we did just that with an interview with Mr. Bo Kobrakovich, lead keeper of the First Nations and Treaty 2 territory. Jimmy Wetch, everyone, thank you for your continued support. For more information, if you'd like to get in touch with us, I invite you to email us today, right after the program. If you'd like to email us, please send your comments, your concerns, or your news to news@mtnlive.ca. Miigwech, mieta guminikwen noon gumikituan. Mino, nesutibegan is seke, umayga nagiskunim. So we'll see you again at 3 p.m., my friend, for a special edition of Health and Wellness. I do believe we're going to be talking to Miss Marlene Davis. Bo was alluding to an accident that happened between her and another vehicle, and ukat was it kemo ukat kipi was sena gigap sena ema anin kain get you know sin anin gagi just said, but I know something happened there where she had to stay in the hospital. You know, staying in the hospital during the COVID-19 epidemic must probably have an effect on each and every person. And we're going to ask Miss Davis about what it felt like for her to be in the Health Scientist Center during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as any thoughts she may want to share on how to stay healthy and how to maintain. Hamsa, meto minik nung gumikituan. Mino ay nasotibegan is a sek kigop minim. Chimiwech. Ho.